Hello, everyone. Uh, it's good to be here. Thanks for having me. So, a couple points before I start. They told me that I'll be talking to developers, mobile developers. So, I hope that, the technicality and the content that I provided is, suits the preferences of the crowd. Anyways, the way that I thought we are going to do it is I'll talk a little bit about myself and the company. Then we're going to talk a little about the current state of payments and mobile, the FinTech. And then I'll talk shortly about what we predict the future will bring for us. And we can go for a quick Q&A session if you were interested. So anyway, a little bit about me. I'm in charge of business development and engineering operations in Liberate. I come from an Iranian background, but I've also lived in the United States and Canada. At some point, I decided I want to go to college in Europe and live and experience things, so I got to know Budapest. Long story short, I came here and I liked it, and now it's 3 years that I'm over here. Today I'll be presenting Liberate. I'll show you how the product works. I hope that you're gonna like it, and then we're gonna get to the bottom of the material. Anyway, so Liberate is, Liberate is a broad vision. We try to roll out products that are simple to use, but actually the vision that we're going after is very broad and complicated. Usually what we call ourselves is, we're trying to rethink the wearable tech industry with a unique no-charge or battery-less solution, meaning that we want to create products that are effective, but also consume as low power as possible. Later on in the presentation, I'll talk a little about why that's important, because this whole short battery life of the wearables has caused a lot of abandonment rate in this industry. Anyway, our first product, so a sort of a proof of concept and something that shows what our brand is going after. Our first product is what we call a Toggle Arc. This one is a prototype. I have the prototype with me here. If you want, I can show you how it works, maybe towards the end. Toggle Arc is the world's first smart wearable that requires no recharging at all. So there is no battery, there is no cable, nothing. The way that we do this is we use a very low power consuming smart e-ink display, and we power that e-ink display through the NFC connection of the smartphone, and it's just right enough to keep the pattern on the bracelet as long as you change it again. So practically there is no need for recharging. We don't have, if you'll take a look, we don't have any, cables, any place to recharge the product. A little bit about our success stories. So last March we had a crowdfunding campaign on Indiegogo. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it or not. We raised a little bit more than $100,000, and then we got featured in a lot of big tech journals, TechCrunch, Engadget, Gizmodo, and we ended up having a lot of people talking about us, following us. The girl that you see over here, she's Daniela Fong. We've been lucky enough to work with some of these folks. She's Forbes 30 under 30, and her company has raised money from, Bill Gates and all these bunch of folks. A little bit about our future plans. So, and this is where I want to transit to the whole mobile and fintech space. What we're trying to do in the sense of electronics is that not only our own product, but we want to create sensors that can be built into other products, so can improve the battery life of other products, wearables, small electronic devices, and so on. We will also have an eye on the jewelry and fashion industry, because we understand that this product sort of, belongs to the fashion market. I'll show you just a little, how it looks, the packaging and all. It's just it's not final yet. We have to deliver the product to our Indiegogo backers in the spring. So now we're developing the hardware, the packaging, and all sorts of things. The other thing that we're exploring right now is the FinTech space. So now we are talking to companies like MasterCard and Visa. We're trying to understand how we can develop solutions together so people can use their bracelet as a payment functionality. We're using the NFC chip, which helps us go after this contactless payment space. And when I was talking to the guy in MasterCard, he was telling me that first you got cash to credit card, then you got credit card to mobile. The next big paradigm is going to be mobile to wearables, and they don't want to fall behind. So that's how sort of the story starts from now. State of mobile payments and FinTech. So, I want to talk a little bit about the challenges in case any of you guys were interested, in developing for this space, and then also a little bit about the opportunities, right? Mobile payments, they're out. So the sort of infrastructure on the development side is almost ready. The problem is that not all the merchants and retailers are accepting it, right? In the next chart, you'll see that in 2015, only half of the merchants accept mobile payments, right? But then they understand that they cannot get out of this innovation, so it's their loss, right? People will go on with the mobile payments. So as you see, it's going to get to 87% by the end of 2017, the majority. One of the challenges right now, currently, is the migrating to contactless payments increases the chances of fraud and theft for retailers, right? This is one of the biggest problems that they face. The other thing is, in the sense of infrastructure, we're not fully ready with the security and authentication. In the next slide, I'll talk a little bit about how we can improve that and how we're on the way to do that. But security and authentication that we had, at least until, let's say, last year, wasn't enough to support, the consumers to feel comfortable doing it. Now, a little bit about the opportunities ahead. $15 billion was invested in FinTech only in 2015. It's getting a very noisy market. And another prediction is 12% of the 700 million smartphones that will be NFC enabled will at least use to be, doing payments once until the end of 2016. That's a massive rate. And it's going to grow like crazy. And then the other thing is NFC had its own problems until now, but it's sort of becoming the mainstream. So, improvements in the efficiency of the NFC, the encryption, NFC plus RFID, the radio frequency identification, and the tokenization that is happening in the cloud. So these are all sort of the technical terms that are enabling us to, tackle the FinTech market in a more effective and safer way, actually. This one is also a little slide in here. I got it from Business Insider. You'll see that, it will grow 42 times in 4 years. $190 billion by 2018. So it's a massive opportunity. Now, as we are a sort of a wearable company, I want to talk very shortly also about the wearable payments, how the combination of wearable and mobile can enable amazing things to be happening. This slide, what people think of wearables is like this guy, but what there actually are right now is more like this guy. So wearables are in their infancy yet, right? Sorry. There's so much to be happening as the efficiency of our devices get higher. And we understand that it's going to take so much R&D and development to get into this guy. And, one of the things, so this is sort of a part of our investor pitch deck actually in here. So these are the different problems that, wearable space is facing right now. Short battery life cycle, annoying cables, high abandonment rate, For Fitbit, something around 68% of the people who buy Fitbits, they put it away after the first 6 months. It's just massive. And then data and privacy issues, right? And then we say that everybody's trying to improve the battery life. We sort of aim to get rid of them. That's the motto that we have. And this is how Liberate is trying to be a leader in this noisy space and market that we have right now. A little bit about what future will bring. So we talked about this is such a big opportunity for developers, for folks in business development and financial infrastructure. As we talked through this presentation, I think you saw the pattern. It's not necessarily about mobile or wearables itself. We as humans are getting connected to the cloud, right? I mean, with things like brain to computer interface and all these things rolling out. And then the other conclusion is most seamless payment solutions will win the market. So at some point, even though it might sound creepy right now, at some point you might be able to pay for your coffee with your finger, right? Or your overcoat, or all these sorts of things. The easier it is, the safer it is, more people will adopt it. The other thing is, the biometric authentication is going to be huge in FinTech space. So the more that we can personalize this experience for people, the safer it's going to get and more people are going to adopt it. And then, the sort of last key point is to understand that the combination of cloud, companies like TransferWise and Stripe, mobile, e-wallets, and Apple Pay and all sorts of things, and hardware, such as Wearables, one of the parts of the hardware, will make everything possible in the future. Now, as I thought it out. So I think it's important for developers to understand how they can fit in this, market. It has massive opportunities, but it's very noisy. Some general advice that I would just want to share my personal opinion is that learn about machine learning. So for those of you who are technical, machine learning is becoming the backbone of software. If you're developing apps in 5 years' time, if you're not using machine learning, you're just missing out big times. And in Bitcoins, they're going to revolutionize the financial infrastructure for sure. The sort of decentralized, financial structure that we have in Bitcoins. Definitely have an eye on the blockchain. And then, software development is backbone of innovation, but it's not all of it. So what I would recommend is try to learn about other industry verticals at the same time. Sensors, manufacturing, bioinformatics, very important. Smart home, retail, and other boring stuff, right? Try to learn about this industry, at least one of them, and try to get good at them. Because, I understand that this is called Mobile Weekend, but at some point you might end up developing for this guy, or maybe even this. This is CES 2016. This was, a couple of days ago in Las Vegas, the Consumer Electronics Show. Thank you. I'll be happy to take questions.
What was the thought process behind you connecting your technology with FinTech? For me, like this technology would be really good where there is no electricity, it isn't around the grid, make it colored and like put billboards on the edge of the highway and you don't have to buy like paper ever again. For FinTech, I think the implemented solutions and like you don't need the display for FinTech, so it could be in this one too. So sure. How did you connect these two?
I mean, that's a good question. So in general, we're using NFC chips, right? And NFC is sort of the backbone of the FinTech right now with the current solutions. We had companies like MasterCard and Visa approaching us, and then, we saw this change that it's going to be in 5 years' time or 10 years' time from mobile to wearables. This is going to be a big change in FinTech. And, we thought with ourselves, I was like, if we miss out this opportunity, This is a big time. And I'm not saying that we're definitely gonna, be a massive player in fintech, but I'm saying that we're gonna experiment with it. And also, the thing that has really worked well for Liberate is that we integrate things together, and we try to make things effective. And even if we apply fintech to our bracelet, like the payments, it doesn't mean that we will require batteries or anything. We still gonna keep our motto: no charge, no cords, no cables, right? So the way that we're gonna do it is we're gonna have a passive NFC chip, which is gonna supply its power from the terminal, right? So we thought about it. I think, and so we're gonna have different editions of the bracelet. One of them, which we're probably gonna call it X, is gonna have the payment functionality, as just to test the market and see if it's good enough for us or not, right?
If your bracelet is a commercial product, what's the price?
Yeah, so the bracelet is right now we sell it for $300, a little expensive, on our web shop. What's that? No, US dollars. And the prices are going to drop a little bit probably, 'cause, once it gets to the retail and all that. We're working on bringing the prices lower. I would say you can expect something around 270 to 290 or $300 for the bracelet. And then actually, I mean, it's good that you ask. If you guys are interested, I can show you how it works. Just a quick presentation. Yeah, can I do that, or can we take more? Thank you. Yeah, so I'll just do a little demonstration over here. For now, we got to keep it close. The distance is going to get better in the final sample, and also the timing. It's going to take less time, hopefully. See? When it has to work, it doesn't. Okay. No. Go for it. Go for it. Okay. Alright, so this is going to be how the pattern is going to transfer to the product. If I did the right thing. It's sort of that, Right? You can agree.
Can I ask, are you looking into colored displays?
So, I mean, obviously, if you don't do colors, we're going to miss out. The problem is e-ink has, limited functionalities. And we cannot do much to develop e-ink because, few companies have the license to actually develop e-ink, so heavy patenting in that space. But I would say in the next 2 years, we're going to see, I think, 6 more colors. So not only black and white, but 16 more shades of colors. So yeah, by that time, I mean, obviously, if we see the development, we're going to integrate colors into the product as well.
Colored e-ink displays seem to exist already.
Well, there are some companies who claim that they have all these beautiful, sharp e-ink displays. We're working with we're working closely with one of the biggest manufacturers of e-ink in the world. It's a German company, and I hope they're not lying, but they said that they cannot do color yet. They can do it next year, and rolling out very few, one at a time. And sure, I mean, if it's possible, then we're gonna go for it.
One more question.
Sure.
Liberate seems to go the fashion way, or you guys started out as a fashion company or a fashion wearable company. Are you pivoting towards payments and wearable payment methods?
Um,
The question is this going to be your main focus, or are you going to stay as a fashion company?
no, I mean, we're not a fashion company. So what we want to do is that we want to be involved in technology, right? In the storage, FinTech, different fields. We have to experiment to understand which we are the best at. The vision for the company is that make creative electronics, products effective. I would say the start as sort of the jewelry and fashion was just a proof of concept and something that, say that we can actually deliver a product from concept to reality, and then to create some branding for us, right? I think, back in the time, this was just an idea that the team had, and it was just like, let's put it on Indiegogo, see what happens. And but yeah, now we're going more towards the actual technology, storage, batteries, and FinTech. And by the way, if you guys are developers or know anyone who's interested, we probably are looking to hire a developer in February. So just to let you know. Who asked the question? Yeah, okay. So we're trying to look. So we're looking for backend developers. Probably, either Ruby on Rails or Java. And then we need someone who knows cloud as well, right? Do we need anything else, Marcel? Marcel's here also from Liberty. No, I mean, we already have those, right? Yeah, but no kidding, we're looking for backend developers for cloud, both desktop and mobile apps. And hopefully someone that can deal with security. That's a more sophisticated goal that we have.